All right, welcome in. Today we're unpacking an explainer that is honestly a total game changer. We're looking at a blueprint for transforming a stagnant, ordinary existence into something completely extraordinary. And to really make sense of the powerful psychology and the actionable steps from our source material, we're going to follow the story of a guy named Harish. Harish is going to be our avatar today, and his journey of breaking out of a life he felt totally trapped in, well, I think it's something a lot of us can relate to. Okay, so here's the roadmap for Harish's journey. We're going to walk through 5 distinct phases: the trap of being average, 3 beliefs that change everything, decoding how people think, multiplying your impact, and finally, managing energy, not time. So let's dive into phase 1, the trap of being average. And honestly, Harish's starting point here is incredibly common. Take a second and ask yourself honestly, do you ever feel stuck in just an average loop? Because Harish definitely did. He lived in a small town, he woke up, went to work, came home completely exhausted, scrolled on his phone for a bit, and went to sleep. Just an endless repeating cycle. And he had this thought constantly running on repeat in his head: I have no special talent. I am just an average person. Big dreams aren't for me. It's wild how a belief like that just completely stops you in your tracks, right? It prevented him from even trying. Like as a kid, he actually loved drawing, but after someone mocked his artwork one time, he gave it up entirely, telling himself he just wasn't good enough. In college, he avoided public speaking because he was absolutely certain he would fail. He was literally standing in his own way without even realizing it. So you end up with this massive disconnect. On paper, his external routine looked perfectly normal, totally functional. But internally, man, it was just this strange, heavy emptiness, a quiet despair that his life would never amount to anything more than this daily loop. But everything changed during a totally chance encounter on a bus ride home from the office. Which brings us to phase 2, 3 beliefs that change everything. This is the turning point of the whole story. Harish ended up sitting next to a stranger who was reading a book, and this stranger ended up completely challenging how Harish viewed himself. The stranger dropped this really profound piece of wisdom on him. He said, "You become what you believe about yourself." Simple, right? But think about it. If you tell yourself you can't do something, you won't even try. And if you never try, how can you ever get a result? Harish had a massive light bulb moment here. His circumstances weren't the things holding him back. His own beliefs were the actual roadblocks. So he asked the stranger a brilliant question. If my current beliefs are the problem, what beliefs should I hold instead? The stranger hands him 3 new beliefs to adopt. Number 1. Anything can be learned. See, Harish used to confuse talent with skill. Talent is a natural ability, sure, but a skill? That is just an ability developed through effort. Once he realized that just because he didn't know how to do something right now didn't mean he couldn't learn it, he actually took action. He went straight to a senior colleague at work who was a fantastic presenter and just asked to be taught. He stumbled a bit at first, but you know what? He learned. Okay, belief number 2. Any goal can be achieved. Now, I know big goals are terrifying. They seem so far away, almost like looking at a mountain. You have to chop them down. Harish took his massive, super intimidating goal of changing his life and turned it into these totally bite-sized, manageable steps. Dedicate 1 hour every day to learning, grasp 1 new concept every week, and take on 1 new task every month. Suddenly, the impossible actually felt doable. And belief number 3. Every single problem has a solution. It's basically human nature to freak out and focus on the fear of a problem, right? But if you force yourself to focus on the fix, a path literally always opens up. Harish put this to the test when a client suddenly changed their project demands at the very last minute. His whole team panicked. But Harish, he chose to break the problem down into manageable pieces instead of freezing up. And within a few hours, they found a way forward. All right, moving into phase 3. Decoding how people think. Because of his whole new mindset, Harish actually scored a promotion to team lead. But here's where he hit a new wall. Fixing his own brain was one thing, but now he had to manage a diverse team. He quickly realized he had to understand others if he wanted to succeed. He had to figure out the fundamental rules of human behavior fast. Things like, we act on emotion first and logic second. People naturally fear change and the unknown. Everyone wants to feel appreciated. Everyone acts on their own self-interest. What's in it for me? And everyone's choices are heavily colored by their past experiences. Instead of just trying to force his team to change, he started using these specific rules to guide them. Let's look at how this practically played out for him. In the past, if a team member messed up,
his go-to reaction was just anger and direct criticism. But his new approach? He'd acknowledge their effort first, then gently suggest improvements. When someone resisted a new plan, instead of just arguing with pure data, he dug deep, found out they were actually terrified of taking the blame if it failed, and offered support. When he needed extra hours from the team, he didn't just yell, "Work harder." He connected that extra work to a future career opportunity for them. This shift completely transformed his leadership.
So that leads us perfectly into phase 4, multiplying your impact. Harish is crushing it. His team is the best in the company, but he hits a completely different kind of ceiling, the absolute physical limits of his own labor. He was working incredibly hard, but he just couldn't scale himself. He had to discover the concept of leverage. He realized he had to stop doing every single thing manually and started multiplying his output exponentially by using 4 key levers. He leveraged his team through delegation. He used technology to automate tasks that used to eat up hours. He used knowledge, constantly learning to open up new pathways. And he used money, realizing that if you invest capital properly, you're basically making your money work for you as an active partner. He finally got it. Working harder is absolutely not the same as working smarter. Working solo means you are capped by your own hours. You are going to hit a ceiling, for sure. But collaborative leverage, combining the strengths of a team, the speed of tools, and the power of capital removes those limits entirely. He went from just doing the work to multiplying the work. Which brings us to the final hurdle, phase 5, manage energy, not time. Because every great journey has one last boss to defeat, right? Despite all this incredible success, his mindset shift, and his mastery of leverage, Harish hit a massive, massive wall. He started experiencing intense burnout, brain fog, and irritability. His whole system was basically crashing. Here is the crucial realization he had. He was a master of time management, but he was completely neglecting his energy management. Time management is really just cramming tasks into 24 hours. But energy management, that's focusing on your actual physical and mental capacity within those hours. Time is strictly equal for everyone, but energy is not. Running a perfectly color-coded calendar on an empty internal battery is a recipe for total failure. So, to fix this, Harish completely ripped up his morning routine. Instead of waking up and instantly doom-scrolling and stressing, he set some hard boundaries. He'd wake up at 6 a.m. and entirely avoid screens. At 6:15, some light exercise just to wake up the body. At 6:45, sitting in pure silence to clear his mind. And at 7 a.m., he calmly planned out his day. He literally dedicated the first hour of his day entirely to himself, meaning by 9 a.m., he was stepping into his workday with a massive reserve of high energy. And it wasn't just mornings. He adopted a bunch of other energy-protecting habits throughout the day, too. Taking small, frequent breaks instead of grinding for hours on end. Actively distancing himself from negative, constantly complaining people, the energy vampires we all deal with, and surrounding himself with driven individuals instead. He prioritized high-quality food and sleep, realizing that a tired body guarantees a foggy brain. And he actively practiced catching negative thoughts and just letting them go. He finally understood that true wealth isn't money or scale. It's having the physical and mental capacity to actually execute and enjoy your life. And that really brings us to the ultimate takeaway from Harish's whole transformation. Real change? It absolutely has to start from within. It starts with your beliefs, it extends to how you work with other people, and it relies entirely on how well you maintain your own internal battery. So I want to leave you with this final, vital question. You have exactly 24 hours today, just like everybody else, but how much energy do you actually have?